email at Denny, Coach Denny Grimes at Gmail. This was what was sent in, and I want to talk a little bit more about pricing. Had another testimonial come into, and well, I won't share that right now. All right, this was what he sent me. I met an older couple who was looking for guidance on price. They want me to give them the number. Same thing with another $2 million listing. I'm not sure how to get around giving a listing presentation without giving them a price in certain situations. So Sunny, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
I shared it with you.
Got it. So that was the question. And I want to have this discussion. When you guys take listings, and we've talked about this last week, do you, in fact, somebody was on the role play and she shared, yeah, well, I think it should be between, 375 and 4 or whatever the numbers are. What do you guys do? How have you guys been taught on a listing presentation when it comes to meeting with a seller and giving them a price? Kevin, James, Jessica, Ken, you're on. Any feedback on that? Because we talked about that it's not my MO to give them a price for a couple different reasons. And even if they, number one, if they're interviewing other agents, I don't basically give them a number. Secondly, even if they want to hire me, I don't quote, give them a number. So do you guys do it a different way? Or, and I guess I'm asking, I'm still talking and not allowing you to answer. I'm just giving you some warm-up time. Is this different than you have been taught? You can type if you want to in the chat.
Danny, I'm going to say yeah, because when we were first taught, it was like you had to learn how to do a CMA and you had to come up with the number and you're supposed to bring in the number. So your stuff is so much better because it lets them come to the realization instead of us telling them what the number should be.
Well, can someone be the seller? And again, so I want you to be the seller and I want you to walk through it because we do have to give them some information. However, what I want us to attempt to do is develop the mindset, and I'm going to come back to this drawing, that I don't believe we know where the top market price is in that particular segment at that particular time until we expose it. There's comps out there, and I've got there on the drawing there. You can study that, comp 1, 2, and 3. Now that pricing chart, if you just, when I stop sharing just for a second, and you go and put it on speaker view, this right here is my listing presentation. So James or Ken or Judy or Jessica or whatever, here's the scenario. I want one of you to be the seller so I can go through this and we can talk about it and learn from it. Yeah. And it goes like this. I met with an older couple who was looking for guidance on price. Don't think the age means anything here. However, that's just what he said. They want me to give them, and this is how he said it, the number, the price. Same thing on another listing. So he wanted 2 listing appointments. The sellers were expecting to give them the price. And I think that's true. I think the people out there are wanting that information. I'm not sure how to get around it, not to give them a price in certain situations. So James, do you mind being a seller in that situation?
Yeah, sure. That's fine.
All right. So let's go through this. I'm going to come back up to the screen. And you guys, please pipe up here if you have any questions or any pushback on this, because this is different. I even had a buddy of mine sent me a pricing, basically a very thorough pricing analysis where it says, if you overprice it, it comes up with evidence that the seller gets less. I'm going to study that, and I'm going to study how they basically set up their parameters. However, here's the thing. In the market we're in a flat market or upward moving market, or even a downward moving market, we don't know where the top market value is. So James, thanks for having me over today. And let's just assume that you have elected to hire me. You're not interviewing other agents. We'll just keep this straight up. We've gone through the presentation. Do you have any questions on our marketing or this, that, and the other? So I've covered all that. So let's get down to positioning. and I don't really care if you call it pricing here. I just don't like to call it price reductions. I think repositioning is better. I really prefer when I'm on my mental game is that part of the service, part of my expertise, James, is to help you specifically or strategically position your home to either sell fast, this is important, you guys, or put more money in your pocket. I think it's a great question to ask sellers sometime during this interview process. What's more important? So James, what's more important to you, selling your home lightning fast, like in a matter of a week or so, or putting more money in your pocket, even if it took a month or 6 weeks?
Well, I'd rather get more money in my pocket. I'm not in any huge rush. I want to make money if I'm going to sell my house.
Okay. Now, I trust you will write that question down because that's a very good question. And it ties to the motivation, right? And so I'm not going to go there in the motivation right this second. Let's say James is, transfer is too obvious. Let's say he would like to get to closer to the, you're in Phoenix. So you want to get closer. You want to go to, let's say you want to go to Flagstaff. You want to get up in the mountains because you like skiing and all that other stuff. So anyway, it's not a job transfer. You're kind of flexible, and when you get there, you just like to be there by this winter. So, okay, so we're now going to be talking about where we want to strategically position this, and you want to make sure that you can, maximize your equity. Am I hearing you right, James?
That's correct.
Okay. So I'll draw this chart out there and the dotted line, because the first question when I meet with a seller is where we want to initially position it, point A and point B. Now, here's the thing, James, I don't know where that top market line is. However, there's a comparables. We looked at comparables at, 4.25, 450, and there's one down there at 390. Now, based on your opinion of the market, you've heard this before, this would have probably already come up. So I'm going to give you the meat thermometer based on your opinion of what's happening for sellers in this market right now. Do you think the market's working in your favor or working against you?
Well, I think it's definitely in my favor. Everybody says the same thing, that the market's blowing up. So it's got to be good for me.
Yeah, and here's the thing, can be music to our ears, right? And so that's right. So what that means typically, James, is that past sales are basically sales in the rearview mirror, and current sales or future sales are those data points plus something. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I assume you heard me, right?
I lost you there for a second. I'm sorry.
Okay.
My
So
screen-
I just asked you if because you say the market's working in your favor, that means future sales or past sales plus something.
Yes, correct.
So I don't know if you're actually, are you in a noisy spot or is that somebody else?
No, it was just another call was trying to come in and bump me off for a second.
Got it. All right. So here's the thing, that the comparables now basically are comp 1, which is our highest comp, was at 450. Comp 2 is 430, and there was one down there at 390. Now, where would you like to begin from an initial pricing standpoint?
Well, I think my house is, better than those other ones. We've done a few improvements, so I'd like to be a little bit higher. I can always come down, but it's hard to get people to go up.
Right. Now take the position that you're expecting me to tell you what to do.
All right, so you tell me, what's the price going to be? Where should we put it?
Well, I think that we should probably, based on your theory that the market's going up, that basically, and we should probably consider some point above the past comp somewhere. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
should definitely be higher.
Go ahead.
Yep, I think it should be higher.
All right. So
Where should we be?
what was the last thing you said?
I said it definitely should be higher. Where should we be?
Yeah. So, all right. So then the only thing I know for sure that, and I agree with you currently, now notice I said currently, because could something happen that would change the market? Could something happen during the next month or so that could change the market? So currently it seems to be trending upward. With that being said, when you look at these comparables, and your house is comparable to like comp 1 and comp 2, that was 450 and 430, where do you want to begin?
Well, you tell me where we should be. I mean, you gave me the comp, so you tell me in a rising market, where should we put it?
Well, again, I don't know exactly where that's going to be. Now, sometimes I'll have fun. Now, this is kind of an easy scenario, although it's a little bit dangerous, and let me explain after I finish it. Well, I'll tell you what. So I sometimes play a little game with sellers, James, and the game goes like this. We alternate picking numbers. I pick a number, then you pick a number. I get to pick first.
Okay.
So I'm going to pick a number, and the first number of your position will be 4. Now it's your turn.
9.
All right. And then I'll even let you pick the rest. So you want to start in the 490 range.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, so we're already moving forward. And even if he, and so I'll even ask the closing question so you can hear it. So basically, are you saying if we list at 490, you're ready to move forward with me today?
No, you said I get to pick the third number too. I want another 9.
Oh my gosh. Oh boy. Yeah.
I think it's worth it. I think I can get it.
All right. That's awesome. So it's 499. Do you need 99 cents on there? Or are you okay on the zeros?
I think we could round it out from there.
Okay. So then you're ready to move forward with me today.
Yes.
Okay. So I've closed for the listing. Now, the important thing is I'm not done schooling him yet. I'm not done attempting to be a professional, giving him every decision has some downsides. For example, if he picked a price at B, let's say he picked a price at 400 or 380, below the other comp, is there a downside? Yeah, he could leave money on the table. So what I want to do though is kind of take care of one thing at a time. And what I'm taking care of, I have the listing at 399. Mm-hmm. Now, all right. So my question is, do you know that there's only 3 outcomes at 399? Oh, I'm sorry, 499. There's only 3 outcomes. Do you know what they are?
I will either get no showings and no offers, or some showings and no offers, or we're going to sell my house at 499.
Yes, and that's because you've been on my calls. This is where I pull out the fishing sheet, and let me show you, James. This is where you want to go over it. This is critical, particularly when you know that the seller's being a little bit aggressive. I've told you before, I'll say it again if you didn't hear it or you haven't been on the calls before. If they have motivation, I won't die on the hill called initial price. However, I'm going to go over some things with him to make sure that's what he wants to do. So the first outcome you see right here is low to no showings. Watch my hands, you guys. I'm going to go off screen share so you can see me better. That means the bait is here, the fish are here. And the only way to solve that issue is to reposition. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Outcome number 2 is we get showings and no offers, maybe a low offer. And what that means is the bait is closer to the fish, yet we're the bridesmaid, not the bride. The remedy there is we have to reposition maybe a small amount. Outcome number 3, it sells. I can't emphasize enough, you guys, how important you understand those 3 outcomes, and you're able to show them with that form. And you can go to my mastermind page and get that form, the PDF, and put it in your listing package, and you go over it. What that does is about 99% of the time, it's going to stop them, from, getting mad at you that when you launch it and their expectations or wild expectations of 499 doesn't happen and there's no showings. They will generally expect you to do more marketing, more open houses, have a Shania Twain concert in the backyard or do something, right? So any questions on that point right there? Now I'm going to start to backfill and find out any questions on that. Would you have taken the listing right there? What's going through your brain now before I move forward?
There's 2 questions. One from Ken. How often does a seller say they want to sell fast? Even when they're pushed, they still say they want more money.
Okay, so great question, because when I ask the question, what's more important, you selling fast or putting more money in your pocket? I've learned that unless you quantify what that means, they're thinking selling fast is like in 3 months and putting more money in their pockets 12 months. So I put that in perspective. I mean, selling fast would be in a week or 10 days, and selling and maybe maximizing, putting more money in your pocket, maybe a month or, 45 days.
Okay,
So-
and then Barbara, what timeline do you use for the fishing measurement?
That's pretty good. Now, when you say the timeline, as far as before you adjust price, Barbara, you can just type
Yes, that is what I mean, Denny. So if you're saying there's only 3 outcomes, what time period do you use before you make those readjustments?
That's an excellent point. That fishing sheet I used to have across the bottom, because I had heard that somebody had said that they had heard from somebody else that NAR had said. You see what I'm saying? That after 10 showings, you don't have an offer, you've got a pricing problem. I've just gotten rid of all the old stuff that I learned 25 or 30 years ago, because it's not necessarily true. For example, in our market in Southwest Florida, you can list a house in our sweet spots 250 down. And if you don't have, like right now in this super white hot market, if you don't have half a dozen showings in the first hour it's on the market, there may be an issue there, right? However, if you list something in the upper segment, maybe $800,000, it's not on the water, it's on a golf course in a certain part of town, that 800,000, I'm not talking about Naples, I'm just talking about Fort Myers. You list something out of the sweet spot, you may never get 10 showings on it. So Barbara, it depends on the price range. And I'm going to go there with James right now. So those are the 3 outcomes. So, and this is where I'm going to help him set up expectations. Remember, did I set the price? I did not. Now I did set the first number. Now I said that's kind of dangerous, because I know we had in fact, he's on the call. One of our team members had an offer. No, it wasn't maybe Rob. I thought it was you, Rob. It might've been Gail, had somebody $40,000 over. I mean, theoretically, it's possible that you could have a list price at $475 and get an offer at $500. It's not normal. So I did take a little bit of a risk. I did it calculate a risk by setting the first number, because really he should be probably below 450. And it's just kind of fun. And I can actually role play that without putting in any numbers. However, we're at 499. So my question to you now, James, is this. Those are the 3 outcomes. Now, let me ask you, what are you going to do to write these words down? What are you going to do if the market says no?
Well, we'll have to talk about how much marketing and promotion you guys are doing and what we can do better to get the price I want.
Okay, well, understand that. Well, we went through the marketing. So let me ask you a question. If I can demonstrate to you that the marketing is working and yet people aren't walking through the home, what do you think the disconnect is?
Yeah, that'd probably be the price.
All right, now he might, you're lucky if they come up with that. However, you notice, and every one of you will be able to demonstrate how the marketing's working, because you've got the metrics and all that crap, but I don't know really how to articulate behind Realtor.com and Zillow and the KW. All, you know how many hits you're getting, right? And here's the thing, that's how people shop. And if you run into a seller that's looking for you to do something else, like some glossy stuff, some print stuff or whatever, here's the thing, and here's the right way to go. All right, so just say, well, it depends on how much advertising you're doing, right? Say that, James.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, depends on how you're promoting my property, whether I'm getting the price we set or not.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this: is that where would you like to see your home marketed?
Everywhere.
Okay, and let me ask you: when you sell this house, are you going to buy another house?
Yes.
And you said, I think you're going to Flagstaff, right? Have you been shopping for a home in Flagstaff, or at least looking yet?
Not yet. We don't know what we're getting out of this house, and know what we're going to be buying up there.
Okay, so when you do go and shop, how will you find out information about homes on Flagstaff at Flagstaff?
We'll probably have a realtor who will help us search for properties.
Okay, and so in the Flagstaff's like an hour or so away, and then during the evening, whatever, will you do any shopping online for homes in Flagstaff?
Yeah, we check Zillow and, some of the online sites like that.
Now, what's interesting, and again, it can go a lot of different ways. Most people, when they get to the point where they want to list the home, they've already been shopping, right? Would you not agree? And where they've been shopping has been online. And so here's the thing: it's like, okay, James, so when you get ready to shop for homes in Flagstaff, you'll probably go online, right?
Yes.
Right. And so the majority of the buyers, according to the National Association of Realtors, I mean, probably almost 100% of the agents are working on the computer looking for homes, helping you look for a home. And 80 or 90%, and Rob, you might know a different number, they're all online. So the question is, when you have a seller that wants you to be in print, here's the thing. When I market your home, do you want me to market it to sellers or to buyers?
Well, when you're marketing my home, I want you to get buyers in there.
Okay. So the reason I ask that is because there's two ways for me to spend my money. Number one is to advertise and market and attract buyers for your property, or I can spend my marketing dollars to attract other sellers for me to list. Now, I would assume you'd want me to spend my money to attract buyers, correct?
Absolutely.
Right. Well, buyers shop online. Wouldn't you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And what does sellers look at?
The price and the features.
Well, they do. However, I'll say it's not really the answer I'm looking for, although I don't want to make them feel bad. Many times sellers will pick up all the glossy magazines that they run in. They have these free magazines at the newsstand or this, that, and the other, and they'll be flipping through at the properties. And the reason agents advertise in the glossies is because sellers will see that and think, well, that I like the way they market the home. Therefore, I may call them to list. So print drives listings, online drives buyers. Now, I believe that's true. I mean, there's some people that you can sell a house online. However, sellers will get really, how many buyers go out and get these magazines anymore when they walk out of the grocery store and, Phoenix Homes and Fort Myers Homes, they might grab it. However, they're probably making their major search online. So here's the thing. So when it comes to, when you ask about marketing, if I can demonstrate to you that the marketing is working and we're not getting showings, and I will demonstrate that, and I will tell you exactly how many buyers have looked at your home, how many took the virtual tour, which basically is what I call the cyber showing, not the shoe leather showing, you will know. So if people are looking and walking through your home virtually and they're not making the appointment, what do you think the disconnect is?
I don't know. You tell me what's happening. Why is it not working?
Well, okay. So most would say, and again, I know you already said it once, you're taking the other path. Well, it has to be the only variable, and that's price or positioning. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Now it's important. Now we're having a conversation here, you guys, and again, speak up or type something in if you have a question. I'm getting clarity around the fact I've got a seller that's probably going to be $50,000 to $75,000, maybe $50,000 to $60,000 too high. I know that, and most likely he's going to have outcome number one. I am attempting to put guardrails around this whole situation so it doesn't blow back on me. Any thoughts or questions on that? And who's got a little smoke detector going off? I hate those little things when they chirp. So now my question is, if we find ourselves in that position, James, it's kind of like if a doctor gives you the wrong medicine, how long are you going to take the wrong medicine before you get a new prescription?
Right. Not very long.
Now, this goes to your question, Barbara, is that I want to find out, okay, so I'm going to follow up with you every week. And the first question I'm going to ask you, James, is, hey, we're not in outcome number 3. Shucks. Are we in outcome number 1 or 2? So when I start the conversation like that, you know what I'm asking, correct?
Yes.
I'm encouraging you guys to develop the habit of training them to go over that sheet every time you have a conversation, because they will not remember it. They will get amnesia. And you can have this conversation once and they'll get it, and they'll get 100% on the pop quiz you give them before you walk out the door. However, in 2 weeks, they haven't had a showing and they totally either dismiss or don't remember the conversation. So if we're here in a week from now and you don't have anybody coming through the home, what will be your course of action?
We're going to have to reposition.
Or what? What else could you say, James?
I could say you have to do more open houses, or let's get more, or I just won't sell if I don't get my price.
Okay, well, yeah, we're assuming you, I wouldn't have taken the listing if you had that position. I mean, you want to go, I mean, you plan on moving, there's enough motivation.
Okay.
So the decision you'd have to make is if the market's not there, you're going to have to go meet the market, correct?
Yes, so we would have to reposition. Yeah.
So here's the thing, in a sweet spot price range, I'm using 400. 400 probably is pretty good price range for most of you guys, 499. He will probably be an outcome 1 or 2. It probably won't get multiple offers if he's $75,000 higher than the last comp or $50,000 higher. I'm just guessing. So at the end of week 1, let's say you had 2 showings. Now, here's where a little judgment comes in. And you have to have, you got to have a little dexterity. All right, this is our first follow-up call. Oh, James, one more thing. I'm still on the listing presentation.
Right.
Do you realize, so here's the thing. Do you realize starting at $499, do you recognize that is higher, significantly higher than the last home that sold similar to yours?
Yes. A little bit.
Well, the last one was $450.
I think you had, okay. Yeah, so then it is.
Okay. And here's the thing. I just want you to understand that, and if you sell it, if we get that number or close to it, you win, right?
Absolutely.
I win, right?
Yes.
So we're on the same team. However, if the market says no, we're going to have to reposition.
Right.
There's also what this does. It's going to take us a little longer to sell. Now, the only reason I say this is that because we're putting, there is a risk in waiting.
What's the risk?
There's the risk of the unknown.
Hmm.
Do you think that people that were in the real estate market on September 10th and the market was going great, they didn't know September 11th was happening? Sellers this past year in February were going great and didn't know the coronavirus was just around the corner. There's things that can happen that can disrupt the momentum of the market. And once it's disrupted, it may never be as good as it is right now. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I'm giving him the same speech a doctor would give us. Hey, listen, if you like to go with this treatment of spraying Windex on your warts, that the warts could spread. And now you have a worse problem. My dentist did it for me when I had a tooth, and I put it off like 4 years. And my fear was it got to the point I'd be traveling and the tooth would break. And this is what the dentist said. I said, he said, it may not be bothering you a lot right now. However, when it goes, it's not going to go quietly. And so it was always in the back of my mind. So understand there is a risk of waiting. Some agents even think there's a risk of it being too high and coming back down on the market and days on the market and how that could erode your eventual net. I'm not in that camp totally. I just think basically it's our responsibility to let them know that it is risky to start too high, because every day that goes by is an opportunity for an outlier event to happen that could disrupt the market. And we're in a pretty sensitive time right now, you guys, with all the things going on between health and the economy and social unrest plus the election. I mean, it's very volatile. So I feel like we as professionals are doing a good job by if they want to be aggressive, okay. And if he's willing to come down, he's okay. However, there is a cost. There is a risk in waiting. Any comments on that, you guys? So, And Barbara, to finish out the thing, your question is, okay, so now let's say we're week 1, we've had 2 showings. The question is, what should you do? 2 showings in 1 week. Is that outcome number 1 or outcome number 2? Anyone want to take a guess at that? I just tell you right now, there's no wrong answer. You have to be, you have to be discerning enough to know in that price point, what else is going on, because in $500,000 doesn't move like $250,000 in our price range. I mean, in our market, you have other listings that are getting more play. I would say, I would give the seller the benefit of the doubt. I don't think it's clearly in number 2, and in 2 being $50,000 or 10% overvalued, getting 2 showings in 1 week isn't clearly in outcome number 1. So the next part of your discussion is going to be, okay, let's say it's been 2 weeks and there hasn't been maybe only 1 showing. So you've had 3 showings in 2 weeks. Now it's time. So James?
Yes?
What do you think? Are we ready to reposition?
Yes. I think we could reposition. I don't want to go too low where I, take money off the table or leave money on the table. So what do you think?
See, there it goes. Now, see, just when you thought you took the listing and he set the expectation, it's going to come right around to us every time we have to talk about a repositioning. Isn't that right? So now when I tell him where to reposition, that's no different than telling him where to list, because now I'm giving him a number. So does anybody on the call want to take this one? Anybody brave? Benita Watson, you must have twins.
I'll try it, Denny.
I knew you would, John. I knew you would. All right, go.
I just popped on. Who am I speaking with?
James.
James?
Have you heard the role play?
I heard a little bit of it.
You hear the last part? You know what you're supposed to do?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
We're repositioning the price.
Yep.
Well, James, I know we initially said that what the market was doing and what the homes were selling for in your subdivision, and we both came to a ideal price for the house. Unfortunately, the market's telling us that we missed the mark. So tell me what you're thinking about our price.
Well, I thought it was a good price, Sarah. So you tell me where we should be. That's not a good price. What's going to take?
Well, you did say that you were moving to Fiji.
So you weren't on part of it. Let me just fill you in. He's moving.
Okay, help me out.
We're at $499. The closest the highest comp was $450. We're at $499. Been on the market 2 weeks, and he's had 3 showings. Now he wants to reposition. He's asking you, what should we lower it to?
Okay. Well, James, how do you feel about your neighbor selling their house for $450?
Well, I think they probably jumped out a little too low. They probably, they're sold in a few days. So I don't mind taking a little more time to get the right price. What is the right price?
Well, what do you think the right price would be? I mean, we're at $490 now.
$499.
Yeah, $499. Your neighbor sold it for $450. So what do you think in there will be a good price for us to try it again?
Well, like I said, I don't want to leave any money on the table. So you tell me, you're the expert. Where should I be?
Well, Dave or Jim, that's a great question. I'm stuck, Denny.
Okay, that's great. That's all right. There's nothing like just jumping in the pool. So here's the thing now. All right. Now, James, thank you for playing it that way, because, at some point in time, we're going to have to say something, right? So here's the thing. There's a series of questions. Well, first of all, we've learned 2 valuable lessons. Wouldn't you agree we've learned 2 valuable lessons, James? Number one, the market doesn't exist right now. The market is saying no to your home at $499, correct?
Correct.
And we've eliminated every price point from there up, so it's going to be below.
Correct.
Now, I could do this easily in this particular case, and I'll do it one way fun, then I'll do it another way. Okay, you know the game. I pick a number, you pick a number. I get to pick the first one, 4.
9.
Okay. Then you pick the next one too, because this is going to be interesting.
Okay, I'll go down. Let's say 490 because that's a $10,000 drop. That ought to get some attention, don't you think?
Well, I can tell now. Watch this. Every time somebody asks me my opinion of the market, I'm going to say one of three things will happen, James, and you already know what those are, correct?
Correct.
So, all right. So if you go at 490, and next week, basically, if we're at the same position, we have little to no activity or low to no showings, we're going to have to revisit this, correct?
Well, I don't want to, but yeah, it sounds like that's my only option if I want to sell.
Now, there's a pain point, you guys. Generally speaking, when you work with a buyer or seller, if they're being a little bit ornery, there is a pain point. The pain point for him is he wants to go to Flag to buy. So I'm going to ask him. So James, have you started looking at homes in Flagstaff yet?
Yeah, we've looked a little bit online. We're not
Yep.
serious yet, but we're looking.
So what do you think, in your opinion, of the market in Flagstaff? Is it, from a buyer's perspective, is it working in your favor or working against you?
I think it's working against me.
So here's the pain point. The more we piddle around, wasting time selling, the more expensive the houses are getting in Flagstaff.
Okay.
So if it's not working in your favor, would you not agree that selling here for top dollar and buying there sooner is better than buying there later, correct?
Well, I kind of think maybe it could change over time. And, if I sell out, then might be better for me a little further down the road. Like you say, things can change.
Right. Well, if it changes before you sell, does that help you selling?
No, not really. I guess those if it changes there, it changes in Phoenix too. So, okay. I guess we're running parallel.
So the issue is that you can't buy a house in Flag until you sell this one. You've already told me that. So what will you do if the perfect house comes available up there and you're not in a position to buy it because you still have your bait too high here? How will you feel?
I feel like I missed out.
So at 490, do you feel that is a competitive movement relative to the lack of activity we've had?
Oh yeah, with a couple people through, I mean, I think that's a good drop. Where do you think I should be? It doesn't sound like you think that's enough of a drop.
Well, do you think $10,000 is significant on a $500,000 home?
Yeah, I think that's a nice chunk.
Well, at some point in time, I'm not going to give him a number. I'm not going to. I'm just going to say, he's already can pick up I'm not pleased because I don't think that was really aggressive. So I may say, okay, so you want to do an incremental move, not an aggressive move, correct?
Well, yeah, like I said, I don't want to leave money, on the table. If I drop too quick and find out I could have gotten, 10,000 more than the price you give me to, then I'm not going to be very happy.
Right. Okay. Well, I just, the next, there's major and minor price points. The next major price point is 575. Because people
Okay,
kind
so
of think and
You're
budget on
asking for a
$25,000.
drop.
Pardon me?
You're asking me for a $25,000 drop in the price we started with.
No, the price actually you started with, and it wasn't me. And I'm not asking, I'm just saying the major price points that would be significant in the $500,000 range are probably on $25,000 increments. So,
Okay. So if I give you the $25,000 drop, you tell me you can sell my house.
say it again, James.
If I give you the $25,000 drop in my price, you tell me you can sell the house.
No, I just said it's a major price point. One of three things will happen. So it's up to you. And here's the thing, you guys, I'm not attached. I don't have an agenda here because he's picking all the numbers. So if you ask me what would be an intermediate price change, probably, I would say probably get out of the 490s. So it would be in the 480 range, 485 range. Probably the next major price point is 475. Now, am I telling him what the price of that? No, and I'm just giving him facts about we have to tell them something, you guys. We just can't say, I'm not giving you a number. I'm giving him my wisdom. So based on this conversation, where would you like to price it?
Well, let's go with 475 and
There. Any questions or thoughts? 2% price change, attention grabbing. 5% only. Yeah, I think we're all saying the same thing, you guys. I mean, I don't think $10,000 in a $500,000 house is significant. I would have liked to have seen with that lack of activity at 25,000. No matter what he does, though, I end the conversation with one of three things will happen. So James, thank you for doing that. Any other thoughts on that before we go to another question that was brought up along the same lines? You can speak up or you can type it in.
Ken wrote, Denny, your approach is very considerate, questioning, analyzing, and thoughtful.
Aw. All right. David, we did that one.
So Ken also asked, how do you handle a seller who is a high D personality?
Easy. I'm a D. I love those people. So ask. So what in what regard, Ken?
What I was thinking here is your approach in not giving a price to a seller, very analytical, very well thought out, all of your answers. When you get a high energy, high D type personality that says, Denny, look, you're the expert, tell me the price. How do you handle that?
All right, fine. Just be that person. Ken, do you want me to tell you the things I know or you want me to tell you things I don't know?
I want you to tell me what my price should be, and I know what it should be.
The only way that I can give you a price that I know it should be in order for it to sell would be lower than top dollar. Is that what you want?
No, not necessarily.
So here's the thing. If you have a lottery ticket and the drawing was yesterday, I can tell you if it won or not. If you have a lottery ticket and the drawing's tonight, I cannot tell you what the future is.
Okay, but you're the pro. You should be able to give me an exact number what this house is going to sell for.
Now, I don't mind. I'm not giving you, Ken. I'm not. Don't take this personally. Ken, seriously, what do you do for a living? I'm
a financial manager.
Awesome. So if I were going to hire you, could you tell me exactly what I should be where I should be putting my money to maximize it in the next year?
There's no way I could do that, but you're the professional realtor. You know the neighborhood. You should be able to tell me a price now.
Ken, you're the professional advisor. You should be able to tell me which funds of the 18,000 of them out there is going to give me the highest return. Why can't you do that?
Okay, let's go out of the role play. You're fighting fire with fire, and I get your point. You're matching my personality going back, and in this case, that could be very effective.
I think it's the only way to do it, and because it's he's that role you were playing is you were playing the D perfectly, and I'm gonna throw it right back at him. You're right. I'm gonna play fire for fire. In fact, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, how to use analogies of what they do, and so you gave me a perfect one. I mean, if a seller wants us to predict the future, then why can't they predict the future? And the only way in this market you can give them a number you're going to be about 98% certain it's going to sell, it has to be low.
I agree. I agree with you 100% on that. But occasionally, your approach is phenomenal. I really like it. That's why I said that. I learn a lot. But I think we have to learn how to apply it to, at least 4 different personalities, so we're really good at what we do.
Right. Well, and let me say this, and I'll go on to this next one because I promised David we'd do it. You guys, these role plays. I mean, if you're having a conversation on a listing, you could have a 30-minute conversation easily. What I'm attempting to do, there are shorter ways to get there. If you take out my little commentary in between, and many times I'm layering things on there that I want you to see how it could be used. If I were sitting in this presentation and with Ken and he was a strong D, I wouldn't have done what I did with James. I would handle it differently. And personally, I love dealing with Ds. That's just the way I think. I have challenges with other personalities. So thank you, Ken, for that, bringing up that awesome point. This was another text. I appreciate you guys sending me texts and things you want to talk about, because this is your show. And anyway, this was a great question. I received feedback from my buyer. So on a listing, I don't think the listing's on the market yet, or maybe it was just new on the market. And my buyers thought it was overpriced to a point they wouldn't even make an offer. And this is in $1 million range, I think, low mills. And the question is, do you give this feedback to the sellers? And what if they're insulted? Now, I think this is interesting here, and a very, very good question. And I've got a slide for you. I want to show you. This is my feedback form, and I teach my team and I know that people look at your listings and you ask them, maybe call them for feedback or whatever, and you don't get it all the time. I let sellers know maybe 20% of the agents are going to give feedback. However, we send them 2 emails. If they don't give us feedback after 2 attempts, they're giving us feedback. The second thing that I teach my team is that when you go on a listing, whether it's ours or anybody else's, I want you to live to a higher standard. I want you always to give honest feedback to your sellers. Now, again, I know that Centralized Showings and Showing Time and all these companies, you can design your own feedback form and you can actually edit it before it goes to the seller. I've advised my team never to give the seller may come home early while you're finishing the showing. Hey, how was it? Be nothing but polite. I'm talking about my team. They're not the listing agent. Don't give them any feedback. However, and if there's something that was negative in the house, and this may answer your question, David, whether you're the listing agent or not, be honest. And you would say it. It's never you. It's the market, the other agent, the buyer. These were the buyer's comments. Now, when the feedback form comes back, it goes right to the seller. I let them know. I don't edit it. I don't change it. They get to see the good, the bad, the ugly. Now, one thing I would like to have you notice, though, in the feedback form is was the home in optimum showing condition? That's question 1. Is your buyer considering his home? It's question 2. Will you keep this home in mind for future clients? Anything else that would make this home more marketable? Notice I'm not asking about price, and I think you're shooting yourself in the foot if you do that. If you want to have a discussion on that, we can. However, here's the thing. If you are the buyer, if you're working with the buyer and your buyer says, this place is a dump, I would never live here if it was the last house on the planet, you don't have to quote them word for word. I would basically say, hey, it wasn't a fit for them. If they say it smells like smoke or smells like cat box, I think we owe it to them for that. In fact, in my opinion, the feedback form is only valuable to a point where we already have told the seller something that, quit smoking on the lanai. The smoke smells coming in the house. Or, it looks like Cracker Barrel, the restaurant Cracker Barrel. Can we get some of the clutter away? Because people aren't even seeing your house. If that feedback comes through, it's echoing what you've already told them and valuable. Short of that, and maybe the agents are picking up on something we didn't see, which is very possible, or didn't smell. I don't have a great sense of smell at all. So there could be something like going on that I'm not even aware of. Short of that, though, the house is either too big or too small. I can't change it. I don't like the location. It's 1 story, 2 story. What are you going to change? And I don't ask them about price, because if the market, I will always tell you if you're right on price, and it doesn't matter what the other agents say or think. Any comment on that? Anybody want to layer that or add to that, expand that, or drill down deeper?
No, that's great to hear, Denny. Telling your clients, look, it's not coming from me. It's coming from the other agent. It's coming from the buyers. They're telling you the honest truth, what they think about your house. Because inevitably, we always get blamed.
Well, when you think about it, thank you, John. You're right. when you think about it like this. Let's say you had that feedback and you are a kind person. You're not like Ken and me, a D. You're nice. You like people. And you don't tell them. And life has a way of working out like this. They're at the grocery store and they overhear someone talking about the house they were in. And sure enough, it was the buyer that went through the home, telling the cash register or telling his wife or husband or whatever. And the seller is standing behind them, unbeknownst. How will you, if I'm the seller and I come to you and say, you know, Ken, what the hey? I mean, you told me these people, you know, they like the house, and I just ran into them. They said, but it smells like a cat box. Why didn't you tell me that? What will you say then? And if you feel a little uncomfortable about that, oh, cryptocurrency. Oh, interesting. And if you feel uncomfortable about that, ask them the question when you take the listing on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 meaning, you know, kind of like not direct, and 10 being unedited feedback. How would you prefer I give you the feedback? I don't know a seller out there that won't say a 10. And listen, there's either a 1 or a 10. I don't know what a 5 is. And you can't change anything unless you are aware of it. So does that help? David, does that help you?
Yeah, excellent. That's what I needed to hear. It's good.
And I know you came on late. We had a little that you can go back and listen to this. And we talked about your first question. So, all right. Well, we got a few minutes yet. Random question: has anyone had a real estate transaction with cryptocurrency? My son, who's he's 48, he's into all that crap. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what it is. I don't even know if it's like money you find in Cracker Jacks or what.
Kenny, could you have him call me, please? Because I have a prospective offer coming in with regards to cryptocurrency.
Yeah, email me. I'll send forward the email to him. Coach Denny Grimes at Gmail.
Okay.
What's up? Come on, you guys. We've got a couple minutes. How do you want to use them?
I have a question for you, Danny.
Yeah.
So I had a conversation with a seller today, and he says that the last showing, a buyer came, and he has security cameras at the front door with audio. And before the agent came over with the buyers, he told them, you should know there is no offers on this house. So he asked me, did you tell him that there are no offers on the house? So I told him, look, when an agent calls me on my listing and asks me, do you have any offers on the house? So I'm being honest, you know, if there are no offers, I'll tell them there are no offers. So he was upset with me. He told me he doesn't want me to tell any agent that there are no offers on the house. I should tell them we haven't accepted any offers. How would you approach this seller? Hello?
I'm here thinking.
Oh, okay.
So here's my question. All right. So for me, everything is about integrity, number one. So I'm running it through the integrity filter. And if we said we haven't accepted any offers yet, are we coming from a place that is less than integrity? I think this statement is true. We haven't accepted any offers yet. Now, I think that probably could work, and I'm not sure I'd get into a fist fight with a seller. You guys pipe in here. Mm-hmm. And now if the agent followed up, now we haven't accepted any, are you implying you received some? Are you implying that there isn't one on it right now? And I don't know that you have to disclose if you've received any offers. If I call you and ask, have you received any offers? That's different. And a better question for an agent working with a buyer would be, are there any offers currently on the table? Now, if they ask that one, would your seller want you to say, we haven't accepted one yet? Because now I think it's blurring the lines because you're leading. Because here's the thing, Could it not work against the seller because this buyer is not going to waste his time in a bidding war on this house when the other one over there, Plan B, is still available? And you can see how that could backfire in a seller. You see that?
Yeah.
What do you guys think, you guys?
I think if they ask you specifically if there's an offer on the table, you can't say we haven't accepted any, because I think it gives an appearance of impropriety, or it could be construed as being deceptive.
I agree. However, the question was, have you received any offers? No. What was the question, David? What the agent ask you? How'd they ask it?
Do you have any offers on this house?
Do you have any offers on this house? That's also a specific question. Do you have any? So
Yeah.
you're either going to say yes, no, or you're going to say, if I've gotten calls, I would say that there's a lot of interest. I would never say that I have offers that I don't have.
Well, he's not. And here's the thing.
And I think that the answer, we haven't accepted any offers, to have you, to his first question, I think that's okay. It might be a little blurry, but I think that's okay. That answer changes if they ask you specifically if there's an offer on the table, in my opinion.
Well, if it's present tense, if it's a present tense question, are there any offers on this house? I think is what David said.
Or you can say, I have an obligation to my client not to divulge that information.
I think it makes it worse. I think here's the thing, David.
Mm-hmm.
I would go back and say, I understand why you're saying that. Here's the thing, it can work against us too. If I say we haven't accepted any, that would you as an agent think that there may be an offer on the table and you haven't accepted it yet? That may cause them not to want to see your home. Do you want to risk that?
Right. I thought about that.
And that way it's on them. And the bottom line is, here's the thing, none of us on this call would do anything that would even be the hint of have impropriety, because number one, we're not that way. And we wouldn't risk our license. And even if it wasn't like a major legal thing, there's not a transaction in the world worth us sacrificing our integrity to one another. And it's a fair question. Now, if I ask, hey, David, has there been any offers on this house yet? I think that could be, I don't think you have to answer that. That's none of the other agent's business. Or what have they turned down, or why didn't they go through? I don't think you have to share that. However, I think it's a fair question if an agent wants to know, are there any offers on the table? Or do you know any offers that are coming in?
So bottom line, if I answer, we haven't accepted any offers, is that ethical? I mean, just because of the seller, he's particular about this. I try to explain to him, I called him back. The reason I tell people there's no offers on the table is because when I do tell them that there is an offer, they take me seriously, and that's my reputation. But he still, he didn't like that I'm a straight shooter on this topic, and he thinks he's losing out if I tell them there is no offers right now on this house. He thinks, they could lowball now because there is no offers on the house.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to like work on that one. I can't give you the answer, and you'll have to do what you feel is right on that.
Okay.
Well, guys, here's the thing. I'm gonna let you know. I'll send out an email Thursday. I'm flying to Alaska, so I won't have a call Thursday. Although our next call will be Tuesday, and it will be coming from Alaska. If you haven't gone and signed up at my YouTube channel, please do so. Subscribe, Denny Delivers. And just real quick here, go back there. And I think you guys are already on my mastermind, so right here. Please subscribe to the Denny Delivers and all the things that I'm doing, we're working on. I'm even doing some things for Bold. I'm posting there. So If you have any questions in the meantime, take advantage of me. Text me, 239-851-4600. And make sure we'll add it to the show. I appreciate you being on.
Thanks, Danny.
Thanks, Danny.
Thanks, guys. See you, John.
Thank you, Danny. Have a
for
safe
coming to
trip.
Alaska.
All right. Bye-bye.
What part of Alaska are you going to?
Wasilla.
Oh, Wasilla. Okay.
Yeah, that's where my wife's from. We have a home there.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I was in Alaska last year. I flew up there and went on a week-long cruise, and we ended up in Canada. But we had a blast. It was beautiful.
Well, I'm anxious for some cool weather. It's been a little warm here around Florida and probably Arizona. You've had a heat wave. So take care. Have a good week, guys.
You too. Bye-bye. Be safe.
Thanks. Thanks.